beautiful people. How are we doing today? My microphone is acting a little weird. It's like trying to come out of the socket. All right, July 12th reading. I did glance at it, and at a first glance, I think I'm kind of the opposite of this, so we'll see what happens. Our quote is from William Shakespeare. The day shall not be up so soon as I to try the fair adventure of tomorrow. Wow, maybe I should try that again. The day shall not be up so soon as I to try the fair adventure of tomorrow. Somehow, probably because all of the grim business of addiction, we became very rigid. We learned not to trust ourselves, so we became frightened of taking risks. In recovery, we have a chance to reestablish our trust. Using the tools of recovery, we can plan an adventure with confidence. Life without adventure is like a sunset with no colors. By nature, many of us are controllers. Adventure requires us to give up a little control, and that's scary. But we can learn to let go. When we make a routine, we can ask ourselves, is there another way to do this? When the chance for adventure comes, can we ask, why not? We're healthier every new day we spend in recovery. We replace sickness with health, insanity with sanity, and desperation with spiritual peace. Using these tools of recovery, adventure can again bring safe fun and excitement to our lives every day. Today, help me try something new. Help me welcome, not fear, adventure. Okay, I'm glad I read it twice because now I have a whole different perspective. It's saying maybe that we don't come out of our comfort shell when we're in addiction. At least this is how I'm reading it. And with the tools of our recovery, we can try new things and do it with some confidence instead of fear. So I guess I do relate in the sense of the podcast, my business. I've never, as long as I've lived, never wanted to be an entrepreneur in any context. Never. Being a florist, everybody had always said through the years, oh, you should open your own flower shop, because I was in grocery and people thought that that was more logical. Gosh, lucky for me, I had figured out early that I didn't really like designing flowers was never my favorite part. The business part was the part that I really enjoyed. But also, I recognized early that in a grocery store or working for a company provided me, medical insurance. I didn't have to worry about that. If it was January, which is one of the slowest months of the year for a florist, I wouldn't have to worry about paying my own bills or, stockpiling from holiday sales to hold me over to January. I just knew that the overhead was bad and it would have been an uphill battle. So I'm glad I never made that move, but people always said that to me. Oh, go do it. Nope. I can't afford the inventory to make good offers to my customers, because when a customer walks into a floral shop, they want one of everything, right? Or they want something different than the last guy. Every present, every occasion is unique and special. And if I couldn't accommodate that, I couldn't afford to accommodate that, then I wouldn't have been able to build my business. So grateful for that. The part I was disconnected on was the part about adventure. Like I was reflecting back to, I drove around the country for, 4 or 5 years. Of course, it was to get to the next casino a lot of times, but adventure just never scared me in that context. But trying this new life adventure, being open-minded and focusing my energy in a different direction is an adventure of its own. And yeah, first of all, I wouldn't be being an entrepreneur in the recovery space and, working on being a recovery coach if I wasn't in recovery. So right there, I guess things would be a lot different. The part about being controlling is so true. And I can see how things like the Asia trip, for example, I had no control over the people who were going. I had no control over the places we were going to see, where we slept, what our schedule was like, none of that. And that was one of the biggest and greatest adventures of my life to date. So I can see and appreciate how that kind of an adventure had impacted my life. And if I was under the influence of addiction, and whether it was my gambling or my drinking, well, I wouldn't have been on the trip in the first place. But if I was still just focused on those things, I wouldn't have appreciated things that I saw or people I met. It would have just been a whole different thing. Well, I wouldn't have had the money to go anyway, because that's just who can travel when you're a gambler, unless you're traveling to the casino. You can't do both. Well, maybe you can. I didn't figure out how. I never wanted to spend money on traveling that could have been used to gamble, unless I was traveling to gamble. It was okay to spend money to go to Vegas. Can you hear my normal subtle assholeness in the background and my sarcasm? It's so sad, the things that I did when I was gambling and the choices I made. So now here we are. I'm supposed to be going, and hopefully this doesn't get messed up. If it does, I'll handle it. But I'm supposed to be going to Denver next month, I think in August. And my uncle told me he's taking us camping. I don't know if you know this. Actually, I know you know this if you listen to more than one episode, that I do not like snakes and spiders. Anything with fur, I'm good with, for the most part. Although I did get a little scared from a squirrel the other day that just got a little too friendly with me. But that's generally my rule about what I'm afraid of and what I'll touch or approach or like in my space. But from my lens of recovery, I know that, it's my family, my uncle. He wants to do something good and take me on an adventure he thinks I'll appreciate. And he's always done that. Every time I go to Colorado, I have a new experience, which has been amazing. We visited lions and tigers and bears in a sanctuary. We've gone to Estes Park and rode horses in the snow and ice and lots of other things. We went to a warm, like a hot springs, I think the last time I went. There's always adventures, but where I'm going with this is that's the next one on the horizon for me that I can think of. And it's not only just about being willing to go on the adventure. For me, it's about being present on the adventure. This is going to be the first time since I stopped drinking that I'm going out there. And it's not a big deal. Like, my aunt doesn't drink, my uncle doesn't drink. But I would always drink when I was there. It was usually holidays or whatever, or I'd have drinks with my cousin. So that part will be a little interesting, but I don't think it'll be a big deal. And I know that the adventure will be fun. Like, whatever Uncle Bob says turns out fun. So what are you doing? Are there adventures that you wouldn't have gone on before you stopped gambling that maybe you would now? Or are you in a place where you haven't tried to cross over into trying new things and going on an adventure and trusting yourself and the component about we have to feel like we're worth it and we deserve it to go on adventures too. So it's all related, how that internal work and our recovery connects. Because if maybe we have the mindset to go try something new out of our control, but we haven't decided that we're worth spending the money on ourselves or taking the time away from work. It's kind of why I shared my values about work. I don't live to work anymore. I work to live. And after, almost 30 years in the workforce, before I figured that out, I can tell you it's a much better place. And of course, I'm not handcuffed by the fact that I need money to gamble. Like, I just know it's going to be okay. If I'm not gambling, everything's going to be okay. It's just that way. I feel like it's been proven to me over and over again, even though it shouldn't be about needing proof, but it's validated. I'm not going to go without. Even if I lost my job tomorrow, I'll be all right because I'm Bobby the Awesome and I'm doing the right thing. So when you do the next right thing, it just works out that way. It's really that simple. And it's really incredible even just to hear myself say that and to think about all the years I didn't believe that the way that I believe it now. It's interesting the way that doors open when we get rid of the bet or the drink. My whole career, my mentality, my attitude that came along with gambling and partying and stuff, I know hindered my corporate America career. Now, it's very clear to me that I am much better off now than I would be in corporate America long term, because it's going to be the same thing every day. It's not an adventure going to the office or even working from home, but it's not really an adventure anymore. It was good when the company was different and they used to let us go to the farms and I was learning things and traveling. Like I went to Colombia, South America on the job, and what it did was gave me so much education around the flower business. And when I'm going to just share this with you, because one of my biggest aha moments from visiting the farm was these little seeds get touched so many times, right? They get propagated. Well, first it starts in the science lab and propagated and bred, if they're looking to make new colors and stuff. And it gets planted. And one of the things I remember seeing, it was in the roses, and I don't know the why, but they would go around literally every single stem of a rose that was planted in the ground and make a slit and insert something in there. I want to say like another piece of the green, or maybe it was another breed to get like bicolors. That's when there's two different beautiful colors in a bloom. But they had to touch it, and then to do that, they had to water every single stem every single day. They have to pinch roses. So in order to have the supply for Valentine's Day, they actually have to cut the roses, say 6 months ahead, and get them all on this, I think it's called flushing, and get it so that they'll all be prepared for Valentine's Day. Like, it'll be interesting to see what happens this Valentine's Day because of all the loss and stuff with COVID. People weren't buying fresh flowers. So maybe they didn't get harvested enough. Here I go off the rails again. Okay, so the moral of the story was they touched it from the lab to the ground, and then they have to get cut. They get touched 3 times to provide safety for their trip. I call it putting them to sleep. They process them in these different chemicals so that they can make the journey from South America all the way to the States. And then they go through customs, and then they get on a truck, and then they get sent to us, and then we send it to the store. And then there it is in the store. One stem could be touched 100, 200 times in this process, all these steps. And yet, on average, it still only costs $1 or $2. If you pick up a bouquet that's $8 or $10, it has 8 or 10 stems on average in it. And yeah, they're beautiful, but we don't think about all the things that go into that. So that adventure and traveling and learning, and it's the same, for greenhouses that grow potted flowers, and the vendors are always so proud of their facilities, and they want to show you and they want you to learn. And I think, between being financially responsible corporately, as well as now with Corona, travel's just going to be off the grid, and it's not going to be an adventure anymore. Like, anybody can work the same job and go to the same place every day and do the same tasks every day. That's not who I want to be. That's not who I want to be in my recovery. I want to experience people and learn new things and see new places and make up for all those years I was in my dark cloud of gambling, where I only did things to get closer to the bet. That's what I want. So that's what I want for you too. I hope that you can see the value of that. I mean, I was going through those answers yesterday about different questions I put out to the community to kind of understand people's perspective. And some of the themes were, how do I fill my time? How do I fix the money? Fixing the money is so easy in the grand scheme of all the things that we need to work on in recovery. And it'll come back. It'll come back after time, because it's crazy. If we're not pissing it away, then we have it there, and then we can pay our bills, and it's really not that horrible of a cycle. And where was I going with that? I totally lost my train of thought. I guess we'll wrap it up, since I'm having a thoughtless moment. All right, I am going to go kick ass today. I can't wait to come back to tell you tonight. This is kind of my accountability for the day. I have a huge to-do list, and I just want to accomplish it. So I'm going to come back tonight, hopefully all jazzed up, telling you about what an amazing day it is. And I hope that you have an amazing day too. This weekend has gone by way too quick, in my opinion. And I will chat with you tonight. I think we're up to Okay? That's what we have to look forward to tonight. All right, beautiful people. Have a good one.